Alright, so the Eagles open their season in just around a week, and Jalen Hurts seems to be taking even more control over the offense than he's had in the past, as with Jason Kelce gone, Hurts revealed that he has even more responsibility on his plate, especially in one key area. Meanwhile, A.J. Brown talked about the addition of Jahan Dotson, and not only is he excited about it, but he also says that Dotson is going to have a massive opportunity. And on top of that, Saquon Barkley is going to have a massive opportunity as well, and he seems super excited for it. Plus, Sidney Brown is working hard and fighting to return as soon as possible, while Quinyon recently made a big change, and James BRadberry suffered a pretty significant injury, so we're going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles, and it's honestly crazy how close we're getting to football season, as the Birds season opener in Brazil is just around a week away at this point, and that feeling is definitely in the air that the NFL is almost back, and it's become even more real after seeing this awesome mural that was painted in Sao Paulo, Brazil, of Jalen Hurts and Packers quarterback Jordan Love as the city prepares to host the first NFL game in Brazil ever. And I honestly just cannot wait to watch this matchup, as, in my opinion, it's probably the best game Week 1 has to offer, so I'm just so excited for it. And you guys already know that I'm pretty confident in the Birds' chances, but let's save any predictions until we get a little bit closer to the game. Meanwhile, the Eagles have been back at practice the past few days as they prepare for the matchup, and while we don't get any in-depth coverage of those anymore as training camp is over and the reporters don't have full access, there were still a few interesting developments, including the fact that Eagles standout rookie Quinyon has changed his jersey number, as after final roster cuts happened, more numbers became available, so Mitchell decided to exchange the 30 that he's been rocking all offseason to his college number, which is 27. And personally, I mean, I like this a lot more. I wasn't really a huge fan of the number 30 choice when it initially happened, and then it kind of grew on me a little bit as he continued wearing it and I started seeing it more and more, but I still think 27 is much better. And overall, I mean, I just can't wait to watch Quinyon out there this season, because I really do think that this year could be the start of a special career for him. But while I do like Quinyon's number change, I feel a little bit more indifferent about wide receiver Jahan Dotson's, as the newest Eagles starter was given the number 87 when he got here, and I think a lot of people thought that number would change after the roster was cut down, but on Wednesday he was out on the practice field rocking that very number. And I've seen a lot of people, especially on Twitter, who aren't very happy with this. For me personally, I mean, I don't think it's the worst number in the world. Like, it's certainly interesting because I feel like 87 is more of a tight end number, but at the end of the day, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just a number, and I'm just really looking forward to watching Dotson in that Eagles offense, especially since he's going to consistently have favorable matchups, with most of the attention going to guys like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Saquon Barkley. And A.J. Brown actually spoke about that during his pre-practice press conference on Thursday, as he said that Dotson has a huge opportunity in front of him.
He has a big opportunity in front of him. I'm not going to put too much on his plate, but he does. And I can tell you guys, when I line up, I know they're yelling out 11 in the slot, 11 outside, you know, and most of the time I'm getting coverage rotated to me, you know, most importantly. And you know, Smitty has his one-on-one matchups, you know, and I don't know how they do with Smitty, so I don't really speak for myself, but I know they account for Smitty as well. So when you look up, I ain't gonna say you're not really worried about them, but they're probably not gonna put their best guy over there. They can only do so much. They only can do so much, you know, and you know it's very rare that certain teams probably have three really good DBs, and so he has a big opportunity in front of him to he has mismatches all day, and you know, and I hope he maximizes those mismatches.
I know I've talked about this a bunch since the trade happened, but it really is just insane. I mean, the fact that the Birds have a guy as talented as Jahan Dotson as their third wide receiver and fifth best offensive option, and AJ's right in saying that he's going to have mismatches all day, so I just cannot wait to see what Dotson is able to do with those opportunities. But staying on the topic of new wide receivers, specifically coming from the Commanders, the newly signed practice squad wideout Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint was also at practice on Wednesday, and he's someone who, when he was signed yesterday, I can't say I had ever heard of him, but it seems like he does have some ability to go up and get the football, at least based on a couple clips that I've seen, including this one from when he was back in Georgia where he made this impressive catch, and then also this one from when he was with the Commanders and he went up and snagged the football one-handed. Now, obviously, these are just two clips and they don't tell the full story of who he is as a player, but based on what people were saying about him ahead of the draft, he's a guy who is reliable in terms of catching the football, and he has great jump ball ability, plus he provides value as a blocker and also on special teams. Now, the drawbacks with him are that he doesn't really have great speed, and he also has trouble separating, so he's certainly an interesting pickup for the Eagles, and I guess we'll just see if he's able to develop a little bit over time if he does remain on the Birds practice squad. And then getting to some other practice squad members, the once and again Eagle Jack Stoll was there at practice, as the tight end was seen wearing the number 83 during the practice session on Wednesday, and he's someone I feel like could possibly be a week 1 call-up for the Birds, so I guess we'll see on that. And someone else who's expected to be a week 1 call-up is the practice squad offensive lineman Nick Gates, as when he signed to the Birds practice squad, Adam Schefter reported that the Birds' intention is to elevate him for week 1, so it sounds like he'll be suiting up as the team's backup center, at least for the first game of the year. And overall, I'm pretty much a fan of all the roster moves and practice squad moves that the Eagles made yesterday. And speaking of moves that were made yesterday and staying in the NFC East, the Cowboys seem to try and address one of their biggest weaknesses as they went out and signed a former Pro Bowl running back in Dalvin Cook to their practice squad. So now the Cowboys have 2 former top running backs on their team that I would say at this point are pretty washed, as we know that Zeke is definitely over the hill at this point, and last year, Cook just completely fell off a cliff in his first season with the Jets, putting up career low 214 rushing yards on 67 carries for a low average of just 3.2 yards per carry, and with no touchdowns and 2 fumbles lost. And he was so bad that he eventually was cut by the Jets and finished the season with the Ravens, where he had a few carries in the playoffs but didn't really do much with them either. So I'm definitely not moved by this signing or worried about it, and I don't think Cook is really going to help the Cowboys, and he certainly doesn't change the fact that the Cowboys are very weak at the running back position. So just leave a like down below for that. Let's see if we can hit 800 likes on this video. And then things get even better when you look at the Eagles backfield and see that that's a clear strength for them, as Saquon Barkley is of course one of the top backs in the league and ready to dominate in his first year with the Birds, and I actually recently came across a stat on Twitter that proves that point even further. And don't worry, we're going to get into that and so much more in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any Eagles coverage or content coming throughout this entire season, then make sure you guys subscribe and also really importantly turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles content or coverage just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like. Let's see if we can hit 800 likes on today's video. And now with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So getting back to this awesome Saquon stat, Brandon Deeg posted this on Twitter, quote, "My favorite Saquon Barkley will pop with the Eagles stat. His average contact point with the Giants was 0.9 yards, while Swift's average contact point last season with the Eagles was 2.4 yards. So Saquon is going to have a lot more room to work with behind the #1 run block win rate offensive line from last season. So that's certainly a great point and a very important stat brought up by Deeg there. I mean, sure, the Eagles lost Jason Kelce, but they're still projected to have one of the best offensive lines in the entire league, especially when it comes to run blocking, and those numbers that Deeg mentioned are crazy because say Barkley ends this year with the same average yards before contact that Swift had last year at 2.4, that's a whole 1.5 yard increase from the season prior. And as much as I love Swift, I mean, I think we can all agree that Saquon is the far superior and more talented player, and I expect him to do more in this better situation than Swift was able to do. I mean, just thinking about that gets me even more excited to watch Saquon this season, because just on paper and from a pure number standpoint, he's set up to dominate. And on top of that, Barkley also seems to be in the right place mentally, as he just did an interview on WIP radio on Thursday where he said that he thinks a fresh start is exactly what he needed, and also that he loves both the passion of the city and the way things are run in the Eagles organization.
It's definitely been a fresh start for me. I would say that's probably been the biggest blessing. You get accustomed of doing one thing and over and over again for the last 6 years, and now you get a fresh start. But I love the way things are run here. From top to bottom. I think Coach did a really good job of focus on his players and listening to his players. I feel like that the city, just that practice we had the other day, I spoke on it before, but we had like an open practice and there was like 50,000 fans. Like I don't truly know how many places are doing something like that, and you could just feel the passion. Just for me, it's just fun. The city is full of passion. The fan base is full of passion. And to have a fresh start is something that I definitely needed, something that me and my family definitely needed. My family could see a difference in me.
Wow.
Even at home. So I'm
so
cool.
Wow.
Excited and thankful from Howie and all the, everybody from top to bottom to give me this opportunity.
It certainly sounds like Saquon is a lot happier in Philly than he was in New York, and that's just so awesome to hear for a multitude of reasons. Definitely congrats to him on that, and hopefully that's something that'll end up helping him perform better out on the field this season as well. But honestly, the crazy thing is that Barkley is just one of a group of extremely talented playmakers on the Birds offense. So talented, in fact, that the Eagles were ranked #1 in QB, running back, and pass catcher combos with Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and AJ Brown. And the craziest part about that is that that leaves out the other 3 extremely talented pass catchers the Birds have in Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Jahan Dotson. So safe to say the Birds are pretty freaking stacked on offense. However, one guy they are missing on that side of the ball is obviously Jason Kelce, which we'd be lying if we said his absence wasn't going to affect them at all, as not only was he just the best center in the game while also being pretty much the leader of their team, but he also had a huge role in getting the offensive line in the correct pass protection sets and picking up the blitz and things like that. So it's definitely an adjustment, especially in that area without Kelce. But from what we've heard, it sounds like Cam Jurgens is doing a really good job in taking over for him, and also Jalen Hurts is taking on a lot more responsibility as well, as QB1 just did an interview on WIP on Thursday where he revealed that as opposed to previous years, he's taking a lot more control over the pass protection and offense.
The pass protection difference between this year and last year, now you're working with a new center. How has it been working with Cam Jurgens as your center, and how do you like the new pass protection scheme?
It's a different approach in some areas and some facets. I think Cam has really done a really good job just taking that role on and really taking on the responsibilities of what comes with leading that group. You know, I think in the end, when you look at this upcoming season and what you may have seen from years past, is just different autonomy in different places. You know, we had a great player in Jason Kelce who took on a lot of responsibility, and as a result of that, I was told not to worry about a lot of things. And so my eagerness to learn and all of that over the years, you know, kind of was halted because of who we had. But now times are different, and I'm excited for that journey for this team.
So that's something that I think we all kind of knew was going to happen, that Jalen was going to take a lot more responsibility of the pass protection and just the offense in general at the line of scrimmage with Kelce gone. But now hearing him actually say it makes it feel a little bit more real, and it's just exciting to hear that Jalen is, one, continuing to grow and develop in his game and in his communication at the line of scrimmage in general. And this will just be interesting to watch throughout the season, to see how Jalen handles the pass protection responsibilities and just how the Eagles pass protection as a whole looks with no Kelce and instead Hurts and Cam Jurgens taking charge. And it'll also be interesting to watch what ends up happening with safety Sidney Brown when he finally returns to the field, as Brown is of course still recovering from that ACL tear that he suffered back in January, and he missed all OTAs, minicamp, and training camp, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't been working hard and preparing to make an impact this season when he does return, as we've seen videos of him working hard throughout the offseason as he tries to come back from his injury, including one just a few days ago that he posted to his social media. And he's looking good and seems as if he's possibly getting closer to a return. And I don't know if this is a new development or not, but I actually just caught a glimpse of this in this video that Sidney Brown was in uniform at practice on Wednesday, even if it was without pads. So again, I don't know if that's a new thing or not, but it definitely is worth noting and a good sign that he's getting closer to a return. Now, I still think he starts the season on the PUP list and misses the first 4 games, but still, it seems like he's getting closer to being fully healthy. And personally, I just cannot wait until he's back because I love the way Sid plays and think that he needs to get snaps on defense in some role when he is healthy. So I guess we'll see how Vic Fangio wants to use him when he does return. But now getting to a guy who just recently suffered an injury and is expected to miss a lot of time, we look at James BRadberry, who reportedly suffered a pretty significant lower leg injury during Wednesday's practice, with Ian Rappaport reporting that although surgery is not required, the injury involves a tendon and he's going to be out for around 6 to 8 weeks. So this is interesting, especially after the wild roller coaster of an offseason we've had with BRadberry and him making the roster despite all the trade and cut rumors, and with some Eagles fans not exactly being very thrilled about it. So now the cornerback turned safety is going to be out for a while, which if the Eagles want to move him, I mean, this injury is going to make that even harder for them to do, so that definitely sucks. But also, if you want to look at it from a positive perspective, having JB in the locker room as a vet leader and teacher still isn't the worst thing in the world, I guess, but still, just overall, this is bad news for everyone, so hopefully he has a speedy recovery, but again, this still definitely stinks. And as a result of this, the Birds placed BRadberry on IR while also signing Brett Toth to the practice squad and promoting Oren Burks to the active roster. Now, the Eagles are just around a week away from their season opener in Brazil versus the Packers, and not only am I going to be covering everything from that, but also I'm going to be covering everything Eagles related throughout this entire season. So again, if you guys don't want to miss any of that, then make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. And also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like on this video to show some support. It really does help me out a ton. Again, let's see if we can hit 800 likes on this video, and if you want to leave a comment down below just regarding anything else that I talked about in this video, that would help me out a ton as well. And if you also want to watch another Eagles video going over a lot of practice squad moves that they made yesterday, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.